I want to show you how important it is for all of us to protect the most sensitive and beautiful parts of our planet. From Greenland to Antarctica, from coral reefs to rainforests, even if we believe they have nothing to do with our jobs, our businesses, and our daily lives. I also want to learn, together with you, the solutions to the climate crisis that are available to all of us in different countries and regions. My name is Pancho Campo, and my personal crusade is to show you, through the Planet Future documentaries, the impacts that climate change is having around the world. Because we cannot wait any longer. The time to act is now. Quintana Roo is a Mexican state on the Yucatan Peninsula, boasting cities and towns such as Cancún, Playa del Carmen, Cozumel, and Tulum, where I am now, just to name a few, which have become world famous and have grown tremendously in the last 20 to 30 years. This part of Mexico has become one of the most visited tourist destinations in the planet due to its magnificent weather, large number of hotels, and all-inclusive resorts, and because the region also offers all kinds of water sports, leisure activities, nightlife, theme parks, and excursions, including visiting some of the most amazing and well-preserved Mayan ruins, especially in the town of Tulum, right behind me. And of course the famous pyramid of Chichen Itza. But the region is also suffering the impacts of the climate crisis, as well as environmental issues. The increase in temperature, sea level rise, extreme weather phenomenon, the tremendous growth of hotel number of visitors and cruises, as well as waste management, are some of the challenges the region is facing. But also the invasion of a brown algae known as sargassum, which is affecting not only the beauty of its beaches, but also its tourism-based economy. It's due to climate change. Our trip will start here in Tulum, which was one of the last cities built and inhabited by the Maya, which managed to survive about 70 years after the Spanish began occupying Mexico. By the end of the 16th century, the site was abandoned. Tulum is today a very popular site for tourism, and one of the main reasons for our trip to start in Tulum is because here we can find a large number of the famous cenotes, which are freshwater sinkholes of extreme importance for the region, not only because they are a unique tourist attraction, but because they play a very important role as a source of fresh water for the local population, which has started to be affected by climate change. One of the most characteristic features of Quintana Roo and the Riviera Maya are cenotes, which are freshwater sinkholes. Although this type of structures can be found in other parts of the world, is in Mexico, where they have become a major tourist attraction and extremely important for the local population. The Maya believed cenotes to be a gateway to Xibalbá, the underworld, and the god of rain, Sha'ak, was believed to live at the bottom of these sacred wells. The Maya performed rituals and ceremonies at sacred cenotes to ask for rain and good crops. The word cenote is derived from the Yucatec Mayan word zonot, meaning well, and in recent publications, the United Nations has emphasized the importance of cenotes for providing fresh water to the local population, especially under the impacts of climate change. Mexico is the #1 cave diving destination in the world, And this is because of the cenotes. Diving in cenotes is an exciting and exhilarating but unforgettable experience. Good buoyancy, trim and propulsion techniques are needed, and they have to be employed in order to protect this fragile cave environment. Protect Dive centers specialize in cave diving and overhead environment training. They have developed a world reputation as being one of the best cave diving centers in the whole world, especially if you dive with a system known as side mount, which we will learn in a few minutes. Tamara Adame has been my instructor, but this time she will also be guiding us to make sure we get the best possible footage for this Planet Future documentary dedicated to the Riviera Maya. We will be joined by Álvaro Herrero, known as Mecan, a Spanish underwater photographer, and let's go. We're ready to go cave diving and learn more about these fabulous cenotes.
Centinelas del Agua es una asociación civil que tiene como misión la conservación y preservación del acuífero de la península de Yucatán. Una vez que el agua, al entrar en contacto con el dióxido de carbono de la atmósfera, empieza a disolver poco a poco esta roca por el ácido que se forma, y cuando va disolviendo la roca por dentro, de repente ya lo que era el techo de una de estas formaciones no tiene soporte y colapsa. Y entonces, al tener este colapso es que se da lugar a la formación de las cuevas, cavernas, grutas y los famosos cenotes de la península de Yucatán.
The technical term for a cenote geologically is a dolin. In many places of the world you can find dolins, even in many different places of Mexico, but the cenotes are very special type of dolin that are only found here in the Yucatan Peninsula, and they have an association with traditions, with ancient Maya history. We are cave divers, explorers, and very, very enthusiastic divers that have a very thorough knowledge about the caves, not only here in Mexico, but all over the world. And we have a team of professional divers that have lived here for a long time. Side mount diving is a type of technical diving where we use the tanks mounted on the sides opposed to mounted in the back as the traditional form of diving. So with side mount we're able to flatten our profile, and like this we can access different places that may be more narrow, places that have restrictions, places that require to have a profile that is thinner than back-mounted tanks. And this is a deep sinkhole that is pretty famous because it has a layer of hydrogen sulfide at the 30-meter level. So the halicline is the interface between the fresh water and the salt water. Because they have different densities, they do not mix, and the layer of this very smelly gas gets trapped between the two types of water. It looks a little bit like you are navigating over a lake, but you are more or less flying over those trees and the branches that are very old, some of them several thousands of years old. And yeah, it's a pretty special place to dive.
Today I am driving to Puerto Morelos, which is a Mexican port town on the Caribbean coast of the Yucatan Peninsula. It's between the Riviera Maya resorts of Cancún and Playa del Carmen, but retains some of its original fishing village character. The Puerto Morelos Reef National Park has many offshore dive sites, and turtles breed on coastal beaches. In Puerto Morelos, the UNAM, Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico, has a branch dedicated to the study of marine life and coral reefs. There, I will meet with two of the scientists which are most active in the study of sargassum, coral reefs, the environment, and climate change, Rosa Rodriguez and Brigitte van Tussenbroek. Sargassum has been a major problem for the entire state of Quintana Roo for the past few years, along with other popular destinations in almost 30 countries. such as Miami, the Cayman Islands, Puerto Rico, Barbados, Aruba, and the Dominican Republic, amongst others. Sargassum is a large macroalga, brownish or dark green in color, which grows in the ocean and moves by the currents. If the conditions for its growth are optimal, in less than 20 days it doubles its biomass, since it has the facility to grow very, very fast. This seaweed reaches the Caribbean from two main sources, the Sargasso Sea in the Bermuda Triangle and a new area north of the equator where it accumulates off the coast of Brazil to enter the Caribbean. There are three main explanations to the bloom of sargassum. Number one, global warming. It is a tropical plant. Therefore, the warmer oceans, more ocean to bloom. Nonetheless, temperature alone is not enough to make it thrive. Climate change also affects ocean currents, which takes us to the second explanation: disturbance in liquid boundaries. Winds, storms, and spiraling currents help disperse sargassum throughout the region. And number three, pollution. Nutrient-rich waters act as fertilizers for the seaweed. Sargassum provides a food source, home, and shelter to an amazing variety of marine species such as shrimp, crab, bird, fish, turtle, and whales. Turtles use sargassum mats as nurseries. On shore, it's a source of food for crabs, insects, and a myriad of tiny creatures, which in turn feed shorebirds and other coastal animals. However, it has numerous drawbacks that are affecting the beaches and the tourism of the countries where blooms are happening every year. Unpleasant smell once it begins to decay. It collects floating garbage that may pose a health or environmental risk. Decomposing in water, it can promote blooms of harmful bacteria and microbes, resulting in serious skin irritation. When removed from the beach, heavy machinery tends to compact the sand, which can affect turtles nesting, for example, and remove both sand and nutrients from the shore, which can lead to beach erosion. Unfortunately, since 2015, the amount of sargassum seaweed washing up on the coastline of the region is increasing year after year. In the year 2021, about 44,000 tons of seaweed were collected along the coastline of Cancun and other destinations on Mexico's Caribbean coast. Riviera Maya's sargassum season usually runs from April to October because these are the hottest in Riviera Maya and Quintana Roo, providing ideal conditions for sargassum reproduction. Particularly in June and July, Mexico's shoreline sees a massive influx of sargassum. If you want to enjoy Riviera Maya's pristine beaches without worrying about this plague, the best time to visit Riviera Maya is usually from November to February. Because of the reduction in temperature, sargassum reproduction decreases dramatically during this period.
El sargazo viene del mar de los sargazos, pero hace un recorrido de más de 25,000 kilómetros, pasando por toda la costa este de África, atraviesa el Atlántico, llega al mar Caribe, sigue por el Golfo de México y de ahí vuelve a regresar hacia el Atlántico a la parte donde está el mar de los sargazos.
El sargazo siempre lo hemos tenido en Quintana Roo, toda la vida, desde los que somos de aquí, nacimos aquí, pues hemos visto que el sargazo llega en ciertas temporadas, pero nunca lo habíamos visto en estas cantidades.
Hoy en día la problemática que estamos viendo del sargazo, que se deriva de múltiples factores, pues no nada más está teniendo una afectación en las costas, sino también selva adentro, en una forma cíclica de tenerlo primero en la costa, lo llevamos tierra adentro, se empieza a descomponer, se infiltra y vuelve a caer en el acuífero y de esta manera vuelve a descargar hacia la línea costera.
El problema es cuando llega a la playa y se acumula en grandes cantidades. Cambian toda la calidad del agua y esto afecta a todas las especies de pastos marinos, de algas, pero también especies móviles en algunas ocasiones como peces, crustáceos, moluscos. Los hoteles tienen que invertir cuando los turistas se quejan, tienen que darles compensaciones, los tienen que mandar a los cenotes, a veces los tienen que cambiar de hotel, también si los olores de los gases que produce el sargazo son muy fuertes. También les cuesta mucho recoger el sargazo. Tienen que invertir en trabajadores, maquinaria, mantenimiento. Yo he calculado con datos de hoteles y de los municipios que sacar 1 metro cúbico de sargazo te cuesta aproximadamente $23. Eso para los hoteles, para los municipios es un poco más costoso, entre $50 y $60 1 metro cúbico. Y hablamos de que en los años más fuertes pueden llegar 1.500 metros cúbicos por cada kilómetro de playa al mes.
This seaweed is very difficult to grow in artificial or semi-artificial conditions. We have found that one of the species, Sargassum fluitans, can duplicate its biomass within 10 days, which is very fast. There was not this give and take mechanism anymore of the sand to the beach, because usually there's a storm. The sand is washed away, but it's caught in between the shoots of the seagrasses, etc. And then when conditions change, the seagrasses more or less give this sand back to the beach, so it grows. And of course, if there's no seagrass near the shore, then the sand is washed away a lot further downshore and the seagrasses slowly start to erode. And beaches are very important in these systems because that's the income from tourism.
Hoteliers and local authorities have been coordinating to remove sargassum from beaches, either manually, in wheelbarrows, or using different types of heavy machinery. Almost $500,000 are spent by local hoteliers every single day in cleaning beaches. Removing sargassum from beaches, it is necessary. Nonetheless, as this cannot be done without unintended consequences that lead to beach erosion, for example, removing sargassum removes sand, heavy machinery compacts the sand, as I explained earlier, making informed decisions about how to manage excess sargassum is equally important. Sir Richard Branson, in March 2016, invited private and public sector leaders to Mosquito Island to brainstorm possible uses for the seaweed, which included food, fuel, and fertilizers, for example. In Barbados, a research team from the University of Indias Occidentales are distilling sargassum with leftover from a rum distillery to produce methane. The French company Algopac is showing how the plant could be used for bioplastic production. St. Lucia's-based Algas Organics is producing seaweed-based agricultural products. But during my trip, I met some very interesting scientists who explained the uses that sargassum can have, and most interestingly and exciting was to meet local entrepreneurs such as Omar Vázquez, who is building small houses with sargassum-based blocks. These bricks are called sarga blocks, and they're made predominantly with sargassum. The sargassum that you saw on the beaches of Cancun and Playa del Carmen. And today we're going to meet with Omar. He is the brains behind this fantastic idea, how to make a good use of sargassum. He is using these blocks to build houses, small houses, for people that are in need of a roof over their heads. Let's go and meet Omar.
Well, Casa Angelita, it's a replica of my grandparents' house in Ocotlan, Jalisco. Right now we're in Puerto Morelos. This is Blue Green Nursery, and this is the first house made up in the entire planet. This one, it was the first block that we made. Look, it was so big and it was handmade. And look at this beautiful baby right here. 2 blocks on one, made out of wood. And that's how everything started. Started with this, and then I had a few money to buy some good wood. We make these ones, but we'll just put them in the ground, press it, take them out, and do a sarga block. And now, as you can see, this is the newest version of sarga block, now with a machine. We're better than a lot of phone companies. They make 1 generation per day. This is our 7th generation in 3 years. We have the sargassum. We start moving them, make big piles out of it, drying it, mix it with all organic materials. This is the material that we use. It's very important because we only use 5% of water. It's almost dry. So, I mean, blue-green, that's what it means. Blue to take care of the water and green to take care of our planet. So we're making the sarga block right now. We have the mix, putting it inside the machine, and making about 480 or 500 blocks per hour. To build a house, we require about 2,500 blocks. So we're making right now basically one house per day. In the beginning, I started doing cleaning services on the beach, cleaning up sargassum. And they hired me, and I started living what I call my Mexican dream. I hired 300 people. We started cleaning the beach here in Puerto Morelos, Playa del Carmen, and Tulum. My contract was for 3 months. 20 days later, they cut off the contract out of me and my workers. And I feel really, really sad and very upset because it wasn't fair to tell 300 people from one day to another that they don't have a job anymore. We're living in this beautiful country, which is Mexico. Corruption, it's really, really bad. I came to my house and I started to cry. I cried all night. So finally I fell asleep and somebody woke me up at night. That's very amazing. They start moving up my shoulder like, hey, wake up, wake up. Finally I did. I opened up my eyes and there was nobody there. I felt scared. I was like, oh my God, you know, like scary movies. There's something around here. I went and see my kids. They were asleep, both of them. So I went and got a baseball bat, put it here in my lap, and I couldn't sleep right in the moment. So I closed my eyes and started living a movie of my life. I mean, I had a wonderful mother, Angelita, that did everything for me and my 2 brothers. I'm the youngest of 3 guys. And I remember how she was selling blood to hospitals to give us a piece of bread and water and sugar. Because, I mean, she didn't make enough to buy milk for me and my brothers. So I started seeing that picture of really hard and painful moments. But it was 2 things that came out of my mind. And it was my grandparents' house, made out of adobe in Ocotlan, Jalisco. And the other one was my mom, Angelita, that she was playing and wrestling with me and my brothers. And I woke up the next morning, drop off my kids at school. I came here exactly where we are right now. And I started, I mean, all the formulas started coming to my head. It was amazing. I started seeing numbers and water and dirt and sargassum. It was amazing. I made the 2 adobes and 24 hours later, I came home. It was midnight. I was so tired. I fell asleep on the couch, all full of mud and everything. And again, they woke me up for the second time. But the second time I wasn't scared. I was like, God, what do you want from me? Or Mom, what do you want from me? It was 3 o'clock in the morning. I saw myself when it was 3 a.m. And it was raining. It was, oh my God, it was raining so hard. I said, en la madre, my blocks, you know, because there was nothing, just 2 blocks right here. So took a shower, took my kids to school at 7 a.m. When I came down here, my blocks, they were perfectly fine. That's where I realized that God sent me a gift. I started making blocks right away, and I built this beautiful house. And it was one of my dreams, you know, to buy a house for my mom. She passed away 18 years ago. I couldn't do it. That's why right now, every house that I build and I donate, for me, it's like giving it to my mom. And it makes me happy, and it brings me a lot of joy, and just bring me a lot of power, you know, like continue doing what I'm doing. So what I did, I put a balance and say, hey, I'm gonna take care of my planet, but at the same time, I wanna do a great social impact.
This is University of La Salle, which is a private educational institution offering high school and university programs. They have branches all over Mexico, but it was a group of young students of public relations and languages who invited me to their campus in Cancun to participate at a conference on event management they put together. I was the keynote speaker, and I shared with the almost 300 attendees my experience of 30 years organizing concerts, sporting events, and large conferences. But because climate change has become one of my priorities, I offered them to conduct a speech about the climate crisis, based on my latest expeditions to Greenland, Iceland, and the Arctic, plus my diving trips to coral reefs, as well as my recent visit to the Thompson Okanagan. And now we're going to visit the university. That the emergence of Cancun has been dramatic goes without saying. In the early 1970s, it was an isolated fishing village with just 426 residents. Today, its population reaches almost 1 million inhabitants. Quintana Roo's second largest city, Playa del Carmen, grew from a population of approximately 60,000 in 2000 to more than 350,000 in the year 2021. It is the fastest growth rate of any municipality in Latin America, according to the city government. Many of the negative environmental impacts that result from tourism are linked with the construction of general infrastructure such as roads and airports, and of tourism facilities including resorts, hotels, restaurants, shops, golf courses, and marinas. To understand the impacts that tourism has had and how it is affecting the environment, I contacted a series of local experts who share with me their views and opinions.
El tema del aumento en los océanos, en la temperatura de los océanos y la acidificación que está poniendo en riesgo uno de los principales atractivos de esta zona, que son los arrecifes, y por supuesto el aumento en las tormentas y huracanes, que sin duda afectan la infraestructura, pero sobre todo afectan a la gente que vivimos en zonas costeras y en sus inmediaciones, y que nos ponen en vulnerabilidad importante, sobre todo económica, pero también social y ambiental ante estos retos grandes.
Este crecimiento de la mancha urbana sin muchos criterios de sustentabilidad pues ha propiciado un impacto al subsuelo, un impacto a la selva, el número tan creciente de turistas que nos visitan, que ha llegado a superar los 20 millones de visitantes anuales. También significa incremento de residuos, ¿no? Y la presión y el reto de una gestión adecuada de los residuos. Quintana Roo, de la península de Yucatán, es el estado que mayor consumo de electricidad tiene y es donde menos estamos generando energía eléctrica.
Lo más importante y parte de lo que nos hemos dedicado en los últimos años es a identificar que el turismo sostenible se debe definir a nivel local. Es decir, no es lo mismo el turismo sostenible en un gran destino turístico como Cancún que las necesidades de la sostenibilidad en un destino pequeño, en una comunidad rural o en un área natural protegida. Siempre considerando, por supuesto, este famoso equilibrio entre hacer bien a la economía en una economía redistributiva y a largo plazo, trabajar por la conservación de los recursos naturales y hoy trabajar también en la restauración, porque ya estamos en una era de restauración, y por supuesto, y lo más importante, que no se nos olvide el beneficio a las comunidades locales y la integración de la sociedad en la toma de decisiones, pero sobre todo en los beneficios del turismo.
La disminución que hemos visto de corales nos muestra una problemática que va relacionada con el turismo por dos situaciones. La primera, el crecimiento de las temperaturas. La segunda, la demanda o la capacidad de carga que han tenido los arrecifes de recibir determinado volumen de gente que en esta zona ha sobrepasado. Eso nos permite o ha permitido que algunas otras organizaciones y varios científicos identifiquen que las manchas de coral que teníamos antes ya no sean las mismas, y eso ocasiona que cuando tenemos una tormenta o cuando tenemos un huracán, esta barrera natural se rompa, se pierda, y entonces los embates que reciben las construcciones son mayores. No se ha alcanzado a entender la maravillosidad que tienen los manglares. Son para muchos la cuna o la guardería de especies muy importantes, y desafortunadamente se ha construido en esos espacios, se ha construido en esos manglares, se han rellenado para levantar nuevos edificios o para levantar nuevos hoteles o para hacer nuevos caminos, y el haber hecho ese relleno de manglares de alguna manera ha roto con una barrera natural que teníamos ante ciertos embates, y pues esto ha intensificado también las temperaturas que incluso nosotros vivimos hoy en día en el Caribe.
more and more companies are developing complexes which have the environment and sustainability at the top of their priorities. While doing my research, it was evident that one hotel chain stands out when it comes to protecting the natural environment and developing its business in the most sustainable manner. The luxury Fairmont Maya Cova Riviera Maya resort is in a private gated resort community within 240 hectares of tropical forest intersected by crystal clear waterways and surrounded by a pristine Caribbean shoreline, 30 miles from the Cancun International Airport near the town of Playa del Carmen. The Fairmont Maya Cova was designed and built specially considering mangroves protection. These forests of the coastline are considered the kidneys of our planet, as they are responsible for cleaning the water in our coral reefs. During its construction, Fairmont Maya Cova preserved most of the land's natural jungles, flora, and fauna by implementing an ancient Mayan technique called socoleo, used to highlight the beauty of plants by pruning and replanting them. More than 1,500 trees were rescued and relocated all around the property. Today, those plants have grown and multiplied, and some are on the process of becoming mature trees. There were also special measures taken to care for the animals found on site. More than 40 species, including exotic birds and iguanas, were relocated for safety.
For our last visit in Riviera Maya, I have come to Fairmont Maya Cova, and my host is Andrea Lomelin. And we are going on a little boat around the complex, and we will chat to Andrea about the sustainability programs and the different initiatives that they are putting in place to make this place more environmentally friendly.
We work a lot with different associations to preserve corals, to preserve biodiversity, turtles, bees. We are on an electric boat, and all of our vehicles are electric. We make a lot of environmental education initiatives with our guests and also with our employees. We also donate our food waste to an association called Banco de Alimentos de México, and they donate these food waste to a community called Las Torres, where 100 children can eat 3 meals there and also take to their homes some food. And they can learn elementary school, secondary school in that association, and it's amazing what they do.
To be in this area is so beautiful, because in here you can find different birds, kind of reptiles. As we have a crocodile actually close by us. It's very nice. So usually the tour is about 45 minutes, and on the way we watch different ecosystems, our mangroves, kind of cenotes too, trees, the jungle. Basically, it's so beautiful actually. I will always feel something.
Hi, we are here next to a hive of Melipona bee. This is a native bee from Yucatan Peninsula, and they are very interesting because they are stingless bees. Their honey is medicinal, and it has been used for thousands of years since the Mayans to cure different disease. Eye disease, you can put some honey in your eyes, or even they claim to use them to treat cancer, throat problems, and different types of disease.
Today we are diving at Akumal, which is a coastal resort on Mexico's Riviera Maya. Akumal is part to the second largest coral reef in the world, after, of course, the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. This reef is part of the Mesoamerican Reef System, also known as the Great Mayan Reef. It's a marine region that stretches almost 1,200 kilometers along the coast of 4 different countries, including Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, and Honduras. Akumal is famous as a destination for snorkeling and diving, where visitors can swim with endangered green sea turtles. They visit the shallow bay to feed on seagrass. The popularity of snorkeling has put environmental pressure on the fragile habitat. My guide once again will be Tamara Adame from Protect Diving, and Mekan will be our videographer and photographer. But we will enjoy the company of the local expert and marine biologist Baruch Figueroa.
Tenemos un proyecto de restauración de coral que tenemos trabajando desde el 2015. Básicamente estamos rescatando un poco del coral que tenemos roto en el fondo y los estabilizamos en lo que se llaman viveros de coral. Y una vez que van creciendo, los vamos refragmentando y los volvemos a colocar de vuelta al arrecife. Y la idea es también integrar otras especies para poder recuperar la función ecológica y los beneficios que nos genera el arrecife, como es el turismo, del cual completamente depende del arrecife, de la correcta salud del arrecife, su mantenimiento a través del tiempo. Que básicamente estamos fertilizando las aguas de mar debido a las aguas negras, a todos los agroquímicos de los campos de golf. Las zonas urbanas no están conectadas correctamente a un pues, sistema de drenaje y eventualmente todo desemboca en el mar, ¿sí? Entonces, también por calentamiento global, las tormentas, los huracanes, todos estos embates meteorológicos se han incrementado con el tiempo. Hay cada vez más huracanes y cada vez más fuertes. Y esto también afecta directamente sobre la salud del arrecife, ya que lo daña, lo fragmenta. Y las corrientes también han cambiado mucho con esta situación y hace que las larvas del coral no puedan encontrar pues, unas zonas óptimas para poderse establecer. Y también el crecimiento urbano, la construcción en costa, la pérdida de otros hábitats como es el pasto marino, tenemos aquí detrás, los manglares, todos estos ecosistemas se unen para poder ofrecer ya sea refugio, alimentación y también para purificar el agua misma de las aguas marinas. Entonces nuestro trabajo es mantenerlos libres de algas y en las zonas de restauración también es eliminar toda la parte del sedimento que se va acumulando encima de los corales sembrados y también eliminar estas algas para poderles dar una opción mayor de sobrevivencia y eventualmente poder generar nuevos arrecifes sobre el sistema sobre el arrecife, sobre el fondo del arrecife.
Es una industria en donde todos queremos estar de alguna manera, a veces sin saber exactamente cómo. El turismo tiene la bondad de que soporta caídas económicas, soporta crisis, ha soportado muchas cosas, soporta caídas económicas, soporta crisis de guerra, pero hay algo que todavía no le ha pasado al turismo, que es soportar una crisis climática. Esa todavía no la tiene tan fuerte y por eso le sigue apostando.
This was my third visit to the Riviera Maya. Every time I visited the region, I have truly enjoyed myself, traveling on my own, but especially with my family. Mexicans are very hospitable and nice people. The climate is almost perfect, and the local food not only is amazing, but it can be very affordable. There is a large variety of accommodation options, such as the world-famous all-inclusive chains, small boutique hotels and apartments. The region also offers a wide range of activities, from just lying on some of the amazing beaches to incredible theme parks, as well as a wide variety of restaurants, casinos, and nightlife. There are all kinds of water sports and numerous cultural excursions, especially to visit some very well-preserved historical Mayan ruins. However, for me, the Riviera Maya has become one of my favorite scuba diving destinations. I just love diving in cenotes, which, as you could see in this documentary, is a very exciting and sometimes extreme form of diving. I want to thank my friends at Protect Diving, especially El Vikingo Kim Davidson, Cenote Girl, and my instructor, the lovely Tamara Adame, and Álvaro Mekan Herrero, our video and photographer. They are arguably the best cave divers in the whole world, and they also arranged my diving excursion
to the second largest coral reef in the planet. Although the Riviera Maya is a must visit, the region has already started to suffer the consequences of climate change and the tremendous impacts that tourism and humans are having on the environment. The bloom of sargassum have plagued the coast of the region, a phenomenon scientists have directly linked to warming sea temperatures. The beachfront along the coast is frequently lined with mounds of rotting and smelly black seaweed. The sargassum is often stacked high in piles, with workers shoveling it onto wheelbarrows, and the hotel owners despairing because it affects their guests and is costing the industry approximately $500,000 per day just to try to have clean beaches. But sargassum has also started to affect the coral reef and its biodiversity, and the cenotes as the main source of local fresh water. Rises in sea level driven by the climate crisis could reach 40 centimeters by 2015, according to experts at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, or UNAM, with 4 to 20 meters of beach lost. Unless drastic nature-based beach restoration measures are taken, all the beaches in front of urban developments will probably disappear. The 700-mile coast of Quintana Roo has been eroded at a rate of more than 1 meter a year, with some parts losing up to 5 meters per year, according to Mexico's tourism ministry. Hurricanes are expected to increase in intensity due to higher ocean temperatures, leading to storm surges and exacerbating beach erosion. In 2020, the Riviera Maya region experienced 17 tropical storms and 13 hurricanes, in which is probably one of the worst seasons on record. The local hotel and tourism industry must realize that a drastic change is needed urgently in the way the region is developed, in their business models, but also educating and encouraging tourists, visitors, and all the staff working in the different businesses to be more responsible and respectful with the environment. They all must think long-term to protect one of the most beautiful places on earth.